Weeknight dinners can feel like a grind, but they don't have to. These are 5 simple meals that our family had for dinner this week, and they're the kind of recipes that don't take a ton of effort but still feel comforting at the end of a long day. The first 3 all come from one Costco rotisserie chicken, which is one of my favorite shortcuts for stretching a single ingredient into multiple meals without it ever feeling repetitive. Then later in the week, we mix things up with a cozy pasta night, and we're ending with a pan-seared steak that feels like a little treat to wrap up the week. Hopefully you'll find something here that makes your own weeknights a little bit easier. These dishes are simple, but still a little special. So let's get into it. So first things first, we're going to go ahead and take our Costco rotisserie chicken, and we are going to start taking off all the meat, and we're going to separate the meat from the skin and the bones. I like to actually keep the skin and bones and use them for chicken stock or bone broth, so I'll keep that in the bag and stick it in the freezer for when I need it. All this chicken is going to yield us enough meat to use in 3 different recipes throughout the week. We're going to keep them in the refrigerator and portion them up now so that it's easy when we need it. We can just grab the portion that we need to incorporate into our meals. So our first recipe is going to be chicken enchiladas, and we are using store-bought enchilada sauce. I'm going with mild to keep it kid-friendly, and you don't have to heat it up beforehand like I'm doing here. I just do it because I feel like it helps to thicken it a little bit, but not necessary. We're going to saute our aromatics, and we're keeping it simple with some onions and garlic. You can also add mushrooms, zucchini, carrots, whatever you want to this, but we're going to keep it simple here. And to that we add our shredded rotisserie chicken and about a cup of that enchilada sauce. We're going to give it all a good mix and then take it off the heat. And we're going to also assemble some of our other toppings. I love raw onion and cilantro on top of my enchiladas and in my tacos, in my burritos, pretty much everything. This is obviously just going to be for myself and my husband. My kids are not crazy about raw onions yet. Maybe they will be at one point, but it just adds such a nice satisfying crunch and freshness to the dish. So we have all of our components ready, including some shredded cheese, and we also have our tortillas. Now, so we get these tortillas from Costco, and they are my favorite. I love the texture. I feel like they're thinner than the other brands, and they have like a nice, satisfying, chewy kind of bite. So we are layering on our chicken and then sprinkling in a little bit of shredded cheese. We're going to roll that up, and then to the bottom of our baking pan, we are adding about 3/4 cup of the enchilada sauce, and then we are just going to simply place our rolled tortillas over it. Do as many as you can fit. These are like medium-sized tortillas, and so I was able to fit about 6 in here. If you're using the smaller size tortillas, you should easily be able to fit about 8 to 10. Alright, then over our rolled tortillas, we are going to add about 3/4 to 1 cup of the enchilada sauce on top and sprinkle on some shredded cheese. I did about 1/2 cup of shredded mozzarella cheese. You can of course use the Mexican blend cheese or cotija cheese or whatever it is that you want. I mean, obviously this enchilada recipe is not an authentic Mexican enchilada recipe. This is like the Americanized version. Still delicious and very family friendly, also great for big crowds. I make this a lot when my kids have their friends over for dinner because it's very kid friendly. I use the mild red enchilada sauce so it's not spicy, and there's just something really fun about being able to customize it with your toppings of choice. My kids usually do lettuce, tomato, and avocado. I today am doing some sour cream, lettuce, tomato, and of course that raw onion and cilantro relish that I love. So for this next meal, we are washing some rice and we are making a shortcut version of chicken congee. This is amazing and perfect when you're feeling a little bit under the weather or you're having some stomach issues, because it's very easy to digest. It's very easy on your system. But my kids and my family overall, we just love having this just kind of in the middle of the week, because it's such a comforting and cozy meal, especially when you're just tired. It's like a warm hug in a bowl. And, I grew up eating this a lot. My mom would make it for us, and it was just hit the spot. So to start, we're going to chop up our vegetables and our aromatics. So we're going to very finely dice a carrot. I separated the whites and the greens from our green onion. So we're going to add in the whites first along with the carrot and zucchini, saute that up. And then we're also going to add a little bit of garlic. Every Asian dish has garlic in it. I have yet to find one that doesn't, so this is no exception. Then we can put in our rice, and we're going to saute that a little bit along with the rest of the vegetables, just for a few minutes to let that really soak in all that flavor. And then next we're going to add the entire carton of chicken stock. So it might seem like a lot of liquid, and if you were just making regular rice, it would definitely be way too much liquid, but we are making congee and we want it to have that very wet consistency. And so we're actually going to end up adding a little bit more water at the end to kind of dilute it a little bit more, because as it cooks, that rice is like a sponge. It's just going to continue to absorb so much of the liquid. And as you saw, I added like another quarter cup to half a cup of water. In total, this simmered for 30 minutes, but every 5 minutes or so I went in to mix it just to make sure that none of the rice stuck to the bottom of the pan. And now it's time to season. We added a little bit of soy sauce and sesame oil. Continue to mix, and then we are pretty much done. This congee is ready to serve. So go ahead and ladle that into individual bowls. I like to garnish with a little bit more sesame oil, some of that cooked rotisserie chicken, the green parts of our green onions, and some sesame seeds. And my favorite way to eat congee is with kimchi. The congee has like a very mellow flavor, and it contrasts so beautifully with like the tangy and sharp flavors of kimchi. It's just chef's kiss. Congee is very customizable, especially when it comes to the toppings. You can top it with any protein of choice. You can also just substitute the chicken for a sunny side egg or a poached egg, and it would be just as delicious. Now for our third and final rotisserie chicken recipe, we are making buffalo chicken naan pizza. And we are going to make our own buffalo sauce. Of course, you can just buy this at the store, but it's so easy to make it yourself. It's just some hot sauce, butter, a little bit of honey, garlic powder, and I also added just like a teaspoon of Dijon mustard in there. We're going to mix in about half of the buffalo sauce together with our rotisserie chicken. And I have the full recipe and the ingredient list as well as grocery lists. All of that is available on my website, so I have all the links in the description box below. So first, for our buffalo chicken pizza, we're gonna spread a little bit of that buffalo sauce on these mini naan breads. We always get these from Costco, and I keep them in my freezer, and they are perfect for like a weeknight pizza or just like a little after school snack for the kids. So we are going to top it with some shredded mozzarella and then that buffalo chicken. For our second pizzas, we are using some store-bought marinara sauce, and we are going to go ahead and spread that. And of course, you want to leave like half an inch or so along the edges for the crust. Top it with that same mozzarella cheese. And the rest of the toppings are actually going to be added after the pizzas have baked. And so for our third type of pizza, it's just plain old pepperoni. This one is going to be for the kids. Now into the oven that goes at 375 for about 12 to 15 minutes. And in the meantime, I'm going to go ahead and dress up this arugula with a little bit of lemon juice, salt, and pepper. Now our pizzas are out of the oven, so I can go ahead and add the rest of the toppings. For the buffalo chicken, we have some sour cream. You can always add ranch or blue cheese. Garnish it with a little bit of green onions. For our second, we have our arugula salad and a little bit of prosciutto. This is also the prosciutto that we get from Costco. and drizzle in a little bit of olive oil, salt and pepper. You can also use a peeler to peel in some Parmesan cheese, which I didn't do it this time. And that is it. We have our 3 types of naan pizzas. Going in for a taste test, the buffalo chicken was superb. This one is always a favorite of mine because I just love prosciutto. So delicious. So that was 3 days of rotisserie chicken, and as much as I love Costco rotisserie chicken, I am ready for a little change of pace. So we are making Me Ravioli, and if you have seen my Me chicken pasta video, this is pretty much the same exact recipe, except instead of chicken and pasta, we are using store-bought ravioli. And yes, of course, you can use homemade ravioli if you have the time. That would be amazing. But we are going to use the ravioli that we get from Costco today, and it's a nice little shortcut. This one is stuffed with cheese and spinach. So we're gonna saute our aromatics. We have our onions going along with some garlic. Here is the ravioli that we get from Costco. We're just using one of the packs. Gonna let that boil in some water, and we are adding a little bit of butter and our chopped roasted sun-dried tomatoes along with tomato paste and our seasonings. So the seasonings are quite simple. It's just some garlic powder, onion powder, paprika, salt and pepper, and a little bit of oregano. We added a little bit of chicken stock to loosen the sauce. Now goes in our heavy cream, and our sauce is pretty much done. Now we just add in our cooked ravioli and some grated Parmesan cheese. Give it all a mix, and we're tossing in a few handfuls of baby spinach, which I keep frozen so that I can toss it in whenever I need it. And yes, the ravioli already has spinach in it, but I just felt like this dish needed some more color, and you know what? We're getting lots of iron today. I also added in a little bit of that starchy pasta water to loosen up the sauce at the end, and that's it. We are pretty much done. Of course, go ahead and plate it, and I always garnish with a little bit of grated Parmesan. You can also add a few sprinkles of red chili flakes if you wanted it to be a little bit more spicy. This dish right now is not spicy at all. It's, believe it or not, vegetarian, but so satisfying, so hearty, the perfect way to offset all that chicken that we had earlier this week. For our final meal of the week, we have some pan-fried steak. Season generously with your favorite rub or seasoning blend, or just good old salt and pepper works great here. Into a very hot pan, you're gonna lay down your steak away from you so it doesn't splatter, and you're gonna sear it for about a minute on each side and gently press down using a grill press. And we're doing this because we want to get a nice even brown sear on each side. And once we get to about 10 degrees from our final cook temperature, we're going to reduce the heat and add in our aromatics, butter, garlic, and rosemary. And very gently just baste the steak in that butter, garlic, rosemary infused deliciousness. And then once we are about 5 degrees from our final cook temp is when usually I take it off the heat and let it rest. In the meantime, we're going to make our side, which is some asparagus. I'm going in with the same seasoning, but salt and pepper, maybe a little bit of garlic powder works great here. Give it a good toss, and into the oven it goes at 400 degrees for about 15 minutes. Your steak should rest for about 5 to 10 minutes depending on the size, and we're going to take all that juice that is at the bottom of the plate and drizzle it over the top and garnish with a little bit of flaky salt. Our asparagus is out of the oven, and we're going to drizzle over it about half a lemon. And now our dinner is complete and we are ready to eat. This was a fun way to celebrate the end of our first week of the kids being back at school, and what a way to do it. And that is it for our first full week of easy dinners. I hope that you will give one or all of these a try. I have the full recipes along with grocery lists, meal prep guides, and everything that you need to make this happen on my website. I have the links in the description box below. And if you wanted to meal prep this in order to save time throughout the week, then you can check out the meal prep guide. This is available to Dinner Squad members. And really, you ingredient prep a lot of the components of each of these recipes, and and so that when Monday or Tuesday or Wednesday comes around, it takes less than 30 minutes to put all of these together. Thanks for watching and see you later.